was connecting. And all this crap, I gotta make a quick cup of tea. And then we're gonna, I tried earlier with my, what are they called? My other headphones, they're really good too. More than Turtle Beach, that's what they were. Beautiful, nice stereo, high def sound, 5.1, noise reduction, everything. I mean, that was beautiful. Nice mic, and it worked great. And I pulled it out when I found it in a drawer today. I pulled it out, and the fucking cord had been chewed in 2 places by my idiot cat. So, I mean, she's always been a cord chewer since she was a kitten, so I guess I left them down somewhere that I shouldn't.
Shancha isilas pacha tu gratis daiwa prasqua haucha. Prasqua tasha nubatari yauda chancha.
Well, both are being broadcast, so I got that message saying the quality it was low because I guess there's a lot of people using the internet right now. And I'm a little early. I usually don't get on till around 9, but yeah, with my cat, I gotta feed him. Notice I'm not getting cold. So, this is what we've opened. These are some of the other missions. I got a lot of these to do. And these Beastmasters. Where am I? Okay, I'm right there. I'm at this fort, and this fort. Hey, Pee-Pee. Wanna say hello? Meow. Meow. What do you want? She's not talkative. All right.
Nee.
As you can see, I don't have that cold bar anymore because I upgraded. Got some winter clothing. Yeah, I seen that coming. Alright. It's 8:05. It's close enough to 4:20. Sorry guys, it's my birthday on the 27th, so we're celebrating a little early. My buddy hooked me up with a birthday pub. Better phrase. Find a place where I can go up there. With one shot. A double header. Halfway up, man. That would be killer.
चारों सुकर थी रहा
d'agua.
I didn't think that through. That was just like panic and hit. Wandering around all poisoned. Doctor tells me to get a vaporized. Can you imagine? You say to your doctor, I've been smoking a lot of pot lately, and I've been really wheezy. I swear to God, that's the exact words I said. He goes, well, it's not the tetrahydrocannabinol. It's the other constituents in the smoke. Excuse me. I said, well, I buy it from a reputable source, and it's really good quality. I said, I paid, like, top dollar, but I said, I get top dollar. It's always top shelf. And I said, I had a bad experience. I bought a vaporizer off of the Wee Smoke Shop in Brampton, so excuse me, any of you people out there from Brampton that happen to be watching or see them online, WEE Smoke Shop I think it's .com or .ca. It's they have a Rhino, they call it Rhino Dispensary, and something else. And pipes and shit like that. Like, don't fucking waste your money, man. The guy, his dad was honorable, but definitely, his son, definitely not honorable. He sold me this fucking, like a pen, a vaporizer, and I paid like $80 for it, and I never used it for a month. Then I charged it up one day, because I was using the bomb, right? But I thought, I spent the money, let's check it out, right? So I pack it up, and I charge it and everything, get all ready, and push this button and it's supposed to fire it, right? And nothing happened. So I do it again, nothing happened. Repeat, I unpack it, I repeat all the steps, man. And it doesn't work, so I take it back to him. The very next day when he opens, man, I'm fucking there. Oh, I'm sorry, we don't carry that no more. We haven't carried that for about 2-3 weeks. I said, yeah. I said, you had 2, and I bought one. Oh, yeah, that was my last 2. I said, well, you didn't tell me that when I bought it. I said, I wouldn't have fucking bought it. Like, what are you going to do for me? He says, nothing I can do. You have to write the manufacturer. So I contacted the manufacturer in the United States. $85 for a new fucking power cell. At least US. Plus transportation, like shipping, plus customs. You know what I mean? So like this $80 fucking vaporizer, it's gonna cost me like $120 fucking dollars. So I tell everybody I know not to buy off of this guy, because he's a crook. His dad sold me my first vaporizer. It was like a glass bubble thing. I forget what it was called, but it was really good. It had this long, like, surgical, kind of, you know, cheesy, but it fucking worked and you got ripped. You know, like, you just breathe in, you wouldn't even feel it. Like, you could see this, like, mist thing, right? In the ball, it would get, like, quote-unquote smoky. And you'd inhale it, and you'd blow out, and there'd be nothing. And then, like, seconds later, you're like, pack! You're fucking wasted. And, unfortunately, I burnt the coil out. And then the dad either died or retired or whatever. And the son and, I don't know if it's his wife or his daughter or whatever, she took over selling the head shop stuff. And he manages it all. And he's like, oh, there's nothing I can do. I said, so you're not even going to give me like $50? I said, I'll buy you a new one. Just give me $50 credit, man. Like, don't fuck me over. And he said, oh, there's nothing I can do. I said, you know what? I said, brother, I said, I've been dealing with your dad for fucking like 15, 20 fucking years. I said, he was a man of honor. There were 6 people in the store, and I'm yelling it so loud that they leave. I said, you're a cocksucker. I said, you are a fucking, you are an unscrupulous businessman. I said, I wouldn't even call you a businessman. I said, you're just a fucking scammer. I said, I'm going to tell everybody I know. And I said, I know a lot of people in Brampton, like at least 30,000. And I told him that. I said, I know at least 30,000 people. I said, and most of my friends smoke. I said, and I tell you right now, I said, a lot of people come here. I'm going to tell them what you fucking did to me. I said, you know, I may not cost you, you know, a whole shitload of business. I said, but I guarantee I'm going to fucking hurt you. I said, you're going to be sorry you fucked with me. And 6 customers walked out that day. And then three walked in. And I was still screaming at him, calling him a fucking cheat and a rip-off. You just fucking, you're a thief, you're a criminal. All kinds of shit. Like, I didn't fucking care, man. Like, don't rip me off, man. I don't mind you making a few bucks. Like, hey, you know, like, you're in business to make money, not be my buddy. I respect that, but at least be honorable. And he was dishonorable, man. His dad would have, I even said that, I said, your fucking dad would be rolling over in his grave, knowing the way that you fucking, I said, you know, he had respect. I said, and everybody respected him. I said, that's why he never got robbed, because he was cool. I said, he didn't ask questions. He'd cut you deals. Like, he told me my first, it was $85 plus tax. And I was looking at it, and I go, man, that's really nice. I wasn't expecting it to be that much. And he goes, well, how much you got on you? I go, $80. He goes, I'll tell you what. He says, no tax, $80, cash, no returns. He says, you know, if there's a problem, you bring it back. But he said, other than that, you know, it's all sales and final. In there the next time, like, he even took time about half an hour and showed me how to use it and everything. You know, and when I bought this pen, they didn't show me nothing. It's like, oh, you do this, you do this, you do this, and then, you know, and then you do this. And it's like, okay, like, I had no idea. So that's the Wee Smoke Shop in Brampton. Avoid them at all costs, because they're fucking criminals. I said to the owner, I said, if you were the last place on the planet that had cigarettes, I said, I'd pick butts out of the fucking street and not smoke and roll them into cigarettes. I said, and if you were the last place that sold papers, I said, I'd use fucking, you know, like toilet paper. I'd use newspaper. I said, I wouldn't, I'd buy pipe. I would never buy papers. I said, and when my bong broke, I said, I have enough shit at home, I'd make one out of a pop bottle. I would never give you another dime. I said, as far as I'm concerned, I said, you are a useless fucking, you're just a fucking, you're a criminal. So, as you can see, yes, I have a little bit of animosity towards that man. You know, I don't mind somebody making some money off me fairly. Like, hey, you know, like, everybody's got to make a buck, and you got to respect that. And, you know, that's unfortunately why, you know, when you buy off your street-level dealer, you know, you buy a gram, it's 0.8, because, you know, he's got to rip off 8 people now just to make $10. You know what I mean? For him to be able to smoke a gram. So he's got to sell a lot. And he probably charges top dollar and it's medium smoke. You know, at best. It might smell nice, but that's about it. And aromatics, I mean, that's an important part of it, but that's, you know, it's about effectiveness, you know, setting. I mean, there's so many variables that go into making an enjoyable smoking experience. You know, like you have to be relaxed, you gotta be, you know, mellow, you gotta be cool. Like smoking when you're really pissed off is dumb because then it's like a waste of a high. A waste of good weed because then you're just stoned, but you're angry. But then you start getting stupid and, you know, get all aggro and it just spoils your buzz. I mean, not that you would do anything, but run your mouth forever, and it's like, shut up, man. I'm sick of listening to you, you know what I mean? That's no good. I mean, I've been high and had a guy pick a fight with me when he was drunk, where I used to manage a rooming house. And when he put his hands on me, I looked at him, I said, you let go or you got 13 seconds. And he laughed and said, before what? I said, before I choke you out. And he said, yeah, right. And I did a rear naked choke on him. And when I hit 10, I said, you're graying out. And you could feel him loosening. And when I hit 13, you gotta let him go because if you hold it too long, you deprive the brain of too much oxygen and you could hurt them really bad. So the rule is you no longer than 13, and then you wake them up. Usually by slapping them on the back, like towards the back of the neck and the back. It's better on bare skin. I kicked him in the nuts and the ribs. That woke him up. He moved out 4 days later. Never fucking heard from him again. I seen him one time and he ran. He ducked and fucking ducked and rolled. It was pretty funny actually. That he was afraid of me. I always said to him, just because I'm a Crip, like, you know, some people are offended because I'm handicapped, and I refer to myself as a Crip. And my son goes, why do you do that? Some people said, well, like, why do you do that? It's derogatory. I said, it's like black people and the word nigger. I said, you can't call them nigger, but they can call each other nigger. I said, unless you're cool with them. I said, I had a buddy of mine I used to call Big Black. I said, he used to call me white bread. I said, I'd walk up to him and go, hey, Big Black, what's up, my nigga? I said, now I got called into the boss's office one day for it. And, you know, I had to explain to him that, you know, it wasn't meant as a racial thing. Just how we greeted each other. And then I asked the guy if he wanted to press, you know, charges against him for racial discrimination. And, you know, I was told, you know, like, not to do it again. We still did. I still called him my nigga and stuff like that. Just made sure that nobody was around. when anybody was around, I was called him Mr. Sherland. His name is Anthony Sherland Philander, and he's a poet. And I wrote a book, well, he wrote it, and I edited it and put it together. We were going to sell it online, but he owes me like $15K. And, you know, show me a sign of good faith, and I'll make it available. Otherwise, you know, like, fuck you. Like, I'm gonna take a chance on 15K. Oops. Like, when you owe 15 large, you know, he's like, yeah, just post it. I'll make sure I'll pay you. I'll cut you a check. It's like, I want cash, man. No fucking check. Fucking check. I said, fucking check this out. I said, you write me a check. Have I can play basketball with it. Oh, you don't trust me. I said, you know, it's not about trust. I said, it's about money. You know, friendship is friendship, business is business. And you could never separate the two. And you have to be able to separate the two in order to you know, be able to function in a professional capacity. Like, you know, like, I fired many people that were friends, you know, and I felt bad about it, but, you know, professionally, you were hurting me, but personally, you know, I'd fire you, and then I'd say, you know, I'll meet you for a year after work. You know, my treat. You know, I'm sorry it worked out that way, but, you know, business is business. And I have to look at, you know, what's in the best interest of the company. I said, right now, you're not it. You know, like, I was always honest. And I'd like to think people respected me for that. You know, I always tried to be respectful, but, you know, when people would use me and shit like that, it's like fuck you, you know what I mean? Like, you're gonna be a cunt, I'll fucking show you. Like, I can be a fucking, I can be a prick, man. Like, I can definitely be a super prick. And I will take it right to the level of, you know, just before you need to call the cops. But then I'll back it down. You know, but there's one place that as seen on TV, warehouse, showcase, whatever. I set up every store in Ontario. And some of them were real arrogant with me, and it's like, just because you paid your money to fucking, and some of them like lost their business in like, you know, 3 months they were on credit hold, and they were bitching at me for not shipping their stuff, and that's not my place to say, but you know, I said to one guy, well, why don't you pay your fucking bills and I'll ship your stuff? Well, how dare you speak to me like that? And it's like, well, how dare you fucking, you know, accuse me of, you know, trying to undermine your business. I thought we were friends. I said, no, friends. Friends call me, you know, by different names. I said, you know, you address me as that. I said, but my friends have different names for me. Well, what is it? I said, well, if you're a friend, you'd know it. Like, oh God. Obviously, you're, you know, no friend of mine. I gotta say, my son, you know, it's okay to, you know, quote unquote trust people. I said, but I said, I can count on the fingers of one hand the people that I trust with my life. He said, seriously, that's it? I go, that's it. He goes, I go, well, obviously, you. Dr. J, you'd be one. You know. I'm on my way, dude. Skin you. I would, but... Yeah. I said, you know, like there's my son, Dr. J. I think I would trust my daughter who hates my guts before I'd trust any of my quote-unquote blood family, like my brother or sisters. You know what I mean? And that, you know, like, what does that say about your family? Blood doesn't, you know, necessarily make you family. I said I have plenty of family that's not related by blood. I said they're extended family, and I said care for them just like they were blood family. You know, like Cynthia's daughter, Nicole. You know, like, I don't know what it is, but I just, you know, I feel for her. She's brought this on herself, but she's in a hard place, and, you know, trying to get out, trying to fix it, and you gotta respect somebody for that, you know. I've been on her for years. She's been on methadone. I've known her for, four or 5 years. I dated her mom for a little bit, but well, we won't touch that. That's a sore subject, so we'll leave it alone. But, you know, it is what it is. And, but her daughter, Nicole, is, you know, she's like 27. She's a few years older than my daughter, but, you know, I try and talk to her the way that I would like to think that I would talk to my daughter. Very real, you know, like, I got this big, huge, they had this can be vulgar, but I don't mean for it to be, but they had all these condoms one time at the food bank, and they gave me like 3 huge fucking boxes of condoms. So I took Nicole and I said, now, this isn't saying go out and have sex. You know, like, don't try and empty the box like in a month. You know, like, that's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is, if you do decide, you know, that you want to do that, and, you know, that's fine, you're of age, you know, like, you know, you don't owe me no explanation, I'm not your father. I said, just please protect yourself, you know, and her mom said, I didn't tell her mom at first, I just gave them to her, and she's like, oh, what's that? And I said, oh, it's a box of condoms. She said, I can't believe you would bring my daughter a box of condoms. And I said, well, I got a few from, like, the food bank, so I said, I wanted to make sure you know, I'm not condoning your daughter having sex, but wouldn't you rather that, you know, she'd be protected? You know, because her daughter was active and actively dating several different young men, and that's another story for another day. You know, but she seems to, you know, she's got to get her shit done with this guy and baby, parental rights and stuff. And I've told her to contact the FRO, which is Family Responsibilities Organization, and they take his child support. Even if he's on welfare or disability, that's the only thing that they can take off your disability or your welfare is child support. Nothing else can touch it. But your child support comes, you know, like, no matter what. It's obviously adjusted, you know, but you're still paying something. And, you know, we had a we had an agreement, and she always got half my taxes. Like I didn't file for like 9 years. Got something like, I don't know, 12,000. Something like that. Something stupid anyways. And I think it's more like 14,000 or 18,000. I gave her a shit lot of money though, I'll tell you that. You know, that's a fact. And you know, meanwhile, she's telling the kids that I'm not giving her any money. And, you know, like I had a judgment against her for spousal support. And I said to the judge that instead of her paying me, why don't we take that money and use it for child support? And she said, and what about the difference? I said, no difference, just take it. And she said, well, what's your child support responsibility? And I told her, and it was almost double. And I said, well, that's fine, you know. That way she can get the kids what they need, like, you know. And she never told the kids that, but I did. I just reasoned it with myself and didn't know. Like, there's a lot of shit that, you know, my kids don't know, and, you know, they were taught something totally what it's not. And, you know, to me, that's not right. You know, made me look like a fucking deadbeat dad. But meanwhile, and my daughter, I represented her in her lawsuit against the school board. And, like, let's just say she got, like, 6 figures. Fuck, the government sued after we were successful. They sued and won for the cost of all the medical. And that was in the hundreds of thousands of dollars. It was like unreal. But I mean, like the document is like 2 inches fucking thick. Yeah, it's some pretty fucked up shit, man. And then I got a Facebook friend who's going through some similar shit. He posted some shit, and I said, you know, I learned the hard way. You gotta keep your mouth shut, brother. I said, private message me if you just want to vent. I said, even if you just, you know, do a messenger call to me, I said, you know, I'll put you on and I'll fucking play video games while you rant. I said, you know, just don't put in writing, man. Like, it stays on the internet, and you know, it came back to bite me in the ass twice. I said, you know, like, be smarter, brother. Like, I understand his frustration, because, you know, in this country, you know, if you're a guy, if you got a dick, you've got no say. But if you're the daddy and she keeps the kid and you don't want it, you still got to pay. Like, you know, like, I understand, but, you know, there's, I don't know, like, you know, I'm all for abortion and shit, you know, but there are mitigating circumstances, like if you're married, you know. But I digress. I mean, it's a long time ago. Just a couple months ago, for some reason, my son was asking me about doing this thing, sociology, and this elective or something. Anyways, and they started talking about work, and he asked me if I knew anybody, and I said, yeah, I knew a couple of them that happened. And he said, well, was it ever because of you? I said, well, yeah, one of them. And he said, well, who was it? You know, like you asked him, and I said, it was your mother. And he said, what? And I told him. Enough about that. I just have a very open relationship with my son, and, you know, that's not to say that, you know, I said something out of turn, as it were, once, and he took great offense, and he told me off for it. I'm sorry, but, you know, I gotta say, and I said, well, what are you sorry for? He said, well, because, you know, like, you're my father, and I said, don't ever apologize for the fact that, you know, you're related to me by DNA, and that precludes you from having an opinion. I said, son, you're fucking 19 years old. You'll be 20 in December. I said, you worked for a year as... That gives you the right to have it. Said now, tread carefully because, you know, you're in my, you're fucking my personal. Be careful what you say. I said, don't judge me. You're not old enough, and B, you're not old enough, and C, you never walk in my shoes, you're not qualified. I said, I don't know this stuff. I said, but you're not qualified. He did tell me off, and I respected him for it. He said, what do you mean you respect me? I said, because you spoke your mind like a man. I said, you didn't cower. I said, you know, my dad always threatened me. Oh, don't you tell me I don't want to hear your opinion. I'll tell you what your opinion is. And it's like, you know, and one day we got into a huge fight, and it was because of shit like that. Like, I'll tell you what your opinion is. You know, when I want to hear it, I'll tell you what it is. Fuck you. You know, like that thing right here, man. That doesn't give you the right to tell me jack shit. Like, I'm a tenant, legally, you know, and that's it. Like, just because we're fucking related, like, doesn't give you no special rights, so you can fuck yourself. You know, my father had a great video. Wasn't very good. I couldn't stand him. He didn't like me. You know. But at least it was mutual. Thought I was pot smoking, you know, gang banging, alcohol, like, you know, he always thought of me as like when I was 19 and I was doing some, you know, stupid shit. 19-year-old kids do. It always bothers me, these zombies. As only, you know, like, I'm 40 fucking years old, you know. And I was having a breakdown and I asked him for help. I guess 4 or 5 years went by, and on the 20th of April, I decided that I was going to call him on my birthday and, you know, try and make amends. Well, he died April 22nd. Almost as if to say, you know, yeah, well, fuck you, you thought you were gonna, you know, but, yeah, when I was having a bit of a breakdown, I was having a rough time, and I actually left the table for a while. I needed something stable in my life, you know, I needed somebody that, I don't know, but, like, you know, he smoked drugs, and like, it's drugs that are taught, like, it's a plant, you know, like, like, if you drink alcohol, it's the juice of rotted stuff. I said, think about it, man. What's worse, the juice of rotted stuff, or a plant? And you know, he just fucking pissed me off because he was so arrogant. I remember when I got his girlfriend stoned. Like 3 months after my mom died, he's got a girl. And I thought that was really inappropriate, but, you know, she was a nice lady and all. I had nothing personal against her. I just thought, you know, like that, you know, fuck man, have a bit more respect for your fucking wife. You know, like at least give it, you know, a little bit more time than, you know, like 3 days type of thing. Like, oh yeah, I mourned for 3 days, I'm fine now. And I go out and get laid, and just tell me about her tits, and, you know, like, inappropriate shit. Like, I don't really hear that crap, man. I think it's fucking time. I guess maybe sometimes I should use that rule with my kids. I guess some of the things I say are inappropriate, some of the things I do. remember when they gave this. And I said, well, like, how long does it take to, like, you know, like, haven't you ever wondered, like, how long does it take to cook a human down to ash? And she told me. It takes a lot of energy, though. Like, you know, it's not the most energy efficient. Put it that way. Titanium hip, like, what do they do with that? She said, well, what do you mean? I said, well, like, I want it, man. Like, it's titanium, it's worth a lot of money. And you get what you have. I said, fuck you, man. You're just gonna sell it. Reclaim. This like yeast infection because I'm diabetic. Man, if there's anything that you women get, I'm telling you, man, it's like the worst. Fucking badger, man. I got fucking killed by a badger last night. A badger. evaluate. That calls me Piss Man. Nap time for Grunt. Ugug. Oh, Takar, that's his name. When you can take a hit and not cough. Fucking 154 people, so. %, bonus experience on everything. Every time I earn an XP, I earn an extra 24%. That's sweet. as much as we can. My birthday on the 22nd. My dad's anniversary of his death on the 22nd. But it's also Jen's birthday on the 29th. And I believe it's Lisa Farkas's on the, I think it's the 22nd. Going, man. hyperextended my elbow, my ulnar nerve, funny bone nerve, and the baby finger, and bottom of the ring finger is numb, but I can feel the top part of that ring finger. Apparently that's indicative of hyperextending that nerve. It's hyper stimulated, I guess. Being hyper, I don't fucking know, but it drives me crazy. Because I can't feel it in cold. So I have to be real careful. Don't fall, man. Don't fall. And he gets some North Steeder. First trouble.
Guarpati, Falhuwinja, Waidata. Jaguama Pacho.
that's how it's done. Sometimes I just stand back and fire the arrow, but for effect. Double step. You know, if I die, I'll come back to that spawn.
Sila shashtem shisu. Winja sarta. Nu sai wal waikarsh. Uwal shanshi. Haish winja dramarsh. Ta winja sakwarsh. Warpati. Charwa wanam. Wal mam sahidna charsh.
So I got a bunch of their terraces going down. Because I'm right there, so I just have to pretty much I can send in my owl. Ooh, I've got 4. What do I can do? What do I can do? What can I do? Oh, here we go. See, that should open up these. But I gotta. yeah, so I tried my fucking Turtle Beach. I was really pissed off. But I mean, it's my cat, and you know, what can you do? I'm $49.99 on them, so I'm kind of pissed, but at the same time, you know, I use my, the headphones, actually, that I use on my telephone, myself, headset. It works. But the Turtle Beach, you had the music and the sound effects and the voices and everything, like totally, you know, you were immersed in the sound. And it had a really good pickup. The microphone was amazing. It picked up everything. So it kind of sucked. I'm going to play some other games too that I have. You know, so that when I'm dead, dead and gone, my son and perhaps my daughter, and my grandchildren will watch, not just to watch, but learn a lesson. fucking animal. Like, he's supposed to be fucking protecting me, man. He's always wandering around with this fucking thing running down.
Wash Tariago Bushwaida Dachai.
Tiye mas charda Guarpati.
Blasted her in the head then.
Guarpati, Nabaya Tacha.
Fucking stupid fucking cat. Alright. Let's check this out. While we do that, I'm gonna put some water on. Fuck, I gotta get a kettle, man. This will fix the stove, I don't know. Half the time the fucking stove burner doesn't get hot, or it gets hot and then it shuts off. And then other times it just comes on, so. Meow. Meow. So I don't mess with it. I just use the microwave. It's safer. Alright, here we go. Here we go now. What's that? A cave painting and a Daisha hand. I gotta keep my eye on the big picture. Fire. I mean, I'm not stupid, right? Well, we hope not, anyways. gotta go make a cup. I think I'm actually last time I made the coffee, so I've already taken all my meds for sleep and everything, so except for the one, the knockout punch. The other sets me up and gets me all relaxed and the cannabinoids in the proved it to my doctor, which was quite easy actually. I sent him an article from the Lancet, which is a British medical journal, on how it promotes the production of delta waves in the brain. And delta waves are the brain wave patterns that are a precursor to sleep. So if you can produce them in the brain, then you're more likely to fall asleep. You know, and I take a whack of temazepam, which is, or Restorel, as it's better known as. I can't remember the fucking information. If I did, it's going to be really sweet tea, so that's alright. But that's how I got the prescription, because you won't write a prescription for marijuana because it's a gray area legally in Canada right now, and I respect that. And I respect his position. You know, I wouldn't put my license on the line either, so, you know, I can't blame the guy. And I don't blame the guy. You know, it's cool. We've discussed it, and, you know, he's all for me smoking. He tells me, you know, whoops. Whoops, sorry. No, he tells me, go ahead, you know, like, smoke away, man. Because he knows that glaucoma, cataracts, and eye tumors, all that kind of shit runs in my family because of diabetes. And, you know, I had an aunt who actually gave herself Hep C by reusing her syringes. She was on insulin, and sorry, I'm looking for, my legs are really dry, so excuse me, I'm looking for a really nice cream to put on it. And I think I found it. I mean, I have prescription cream, but yeah, try this first. But that's cool. You know what I was saying about with my doctor. I speak freely about it. I mean, you know, if you know, the doctor doesn't have all the information and you're smoking weed, you know, and whatever, you know, say you have an asthma or something, you know, and the doctor prescribes this medication and it doesn't seem to be helping, you know, perhaps it's because, you know, you're smoking ganja. And, you know, like I said to him myself the other day, that I was really wheezy from smoking herb. And he suggested I buy a vaporizer. You know what I mean? And that's what he said to me. Oh, everybody uses vapes now. And I told him about my experiences I'd mentioned earlier, so it's cool. You know, there's no use in hiding it. Like, you know, I'm not ashamed. Dude, like, I don't know where the fuck they're coming from or why they're here. I deserve that. But I mean, you know, like I told him, when I get cluster headaches, sometimes I'll smoke a joint and it'll immediately get rid of the headache. But I said even if it doesn't, you know, it lessens the pain. Even, you know, even just a micro dot of relief is better than none. And, you know, you try and explain it to somebody who doesn't know what you're, you know, talking about. They think you're fucking insane. Oops. I need the blood shasty club. The two-handed club is just too slow. But I mean, like, it deals such damage. Those were all just practice. What the fuck? Okay, all those other ones previously were practice. This is the real one. Oh. I should have just kept on falling right into the water. I'd have been fine. fucking lion, man. Fucking Sabretooth better fucking save my ass.
One mas, tu mas izila waida, madrama mas. Nanu mi brashtar waida magam. Ta winja wantar dausar takar. Guarpati, su tapacham. Shaja, balya daisha.
We got but you can't always have just treats, man. Like, it doesn't work like that, baby. Sorry. You know, I wish I could tell you that. get one of them. I've already got like 2 of those Godzilla God. The Zilla, Izilla, whatever you call them. I already got their masks, and I got the Sacred mask, which is the fucking one that caused all the shit. That was a hard mission. Took me 2 hours just to find my way out of the cave. I didn't broadcast that one, but that was pretty cool. I sort of wish I had it, because it was awesome. I'm reminded of a song by Judas Priest. Grinder. I got a buddy who's got an electric one. He used to just take all what he called the white powder and just clean it out and throw it. I said, collect it up. $15 a gram. And he had within like 2 weeks, he had like a small, like a chip dip container. You know, like that small kind of container. Full. I forget how many grams he said it was. I gave him about 100, between 100 and 250. I can't remember. But it was pure keef. Spelled K-I-F, or as we spell in Western culture, K-I-E-F. But that's what you make gum. You can melt it down and make honey oil. You can boil it down in ether and make oil as well. I prefer the butane method, but either way, it's dangerous. One, you're boiling ether, and the next, you're making basically a pipe bomb. So, you know, 6 of one, half dozen the other. Either way, it's fucking dangerous proposition, unless you know what you're doing. You never do it in the house. You always do it outside, away from prying. Always make sure that you have, you know, safety precautions. You know, don't be fucking stupid. Don't be smoking while you're doing it. You got to be careful of static. You know, like, but the risks, you know, versus the rewards can be, if you're, you know, if you're careful and you do it right, you can be quite lucrative. I made some, I don't know what they call it, but hash where you separate it in ice water and then you filter it down, and then you separate that and you let it sit overnight in the fridge, and all the vegetative material separates, and you end up with this whitish, the keef, and then you separate that again with filters and coffee filters, and you ultimately end up with some nice keef, and you can make some good I use
tashwal su, akawaida shlangwi.
compress it into hashish. I wrapped it in saran wrap and elasticband, and then fuck. And then I walked around with it under my feet for a couple of hours, and the heat and the pressure transmogrified it into actually some pretty good hash. It was better as weed, but holy marijuana. This took a lot to make it. And I used all the crap. If I'd used some good bud, it would have been better quality. Quality ingredients reach quality rewards, You can't expect to pay the price for fucking VW and get a Porsche. I mean, it just, it doesn't work like that. If you want a Porsche, you buy a Porsche, you pay for a Porsche. Don't buy a VW with a Porsche sticker on it. Because that's not a Porsche, that's a VW with a Porsche sticker on it.
Takar, mi swarsa mukwa izila bidrama mas. Mawada chauham pradrama na waida. Izila sanja. Umi swasar waida. Pracham. Guarpati su winja.
It's 10:50, which means that somewhere in the world where they're on the half hour ahead, it's 4:20.
Mashmamsa waida guarpati.
Let's see how after a little bit you don't cough. Like that's so popular as a treatment for asthma, which sounds kind of stupid, but because they don't add shit like they do to tobacco. A plant they grow, they dry, and smoke. That's it. And I mean, it does contain tar and other, constituents, but you don't smoke it like you do cigarettes, so it's not like it's continuous. And there is nicotine and other shit in it, but, mostly it's hydrocannabinol, sulfonal. the part of the chemical that puts you on the couch and makes you want to go to sleep. Probably why I don't like it, unless it's fun. And to me, that's the only way to smoke
Pardon! Pardon!
with a little bit more moisture. This is a little on the dry side. He's had it for a bit. You should keep it in the freezer. It keeps fresher. But it's cool. You know, it is what it is. I love how he eats his prey so that I can save my when he really revive. Somehow I've gotten like way off track. Piss off, cat. Or that's what I needed. Ooh, something in here too. Know it. Something good in here. While I do that, I'll expand my own mind.
Udam twar chawai bash, not man. Tabi Sashmal.
That's what I'd rather do.
Shrash, so.
Faran Hafchu. Sashwaldi Platim Patash.
He's zoned out for a second. Let me just tell you where I was.
Ciao Hawadar Paiska Guardu. Ślangwi grabasz. Baka bushlisu. Ciao ya waida.
Actually a little bit warmer than tepid, but not a whole hell of a lot. Yeah.
Paisa?
Take a break shortly, but baby girl.
Warpati, Numi Bal Damsha.
Huh?
Charwa Shrauman Afi. Manam Wanam.
Alright, I'm gonna take a break for a bit. Peace out.